Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lppbbsg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. Our study follows a 96-week cycle that begins on the title page and continues through page 164. We study spiritual experience in Appendix 2 3 times when the asterisk refers us there. We also study Dr. Bob's Nightmare and the 12 Traditions. We close our study on week 96 by studying spiritual experience as a standalone meeting. Our meeting began January 7th, 2020, using this format, and we are grateful you're here to study with us. My name is Aaron, and I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic.
And my name is Trish, and I'm a alcoholic.
Before we begin, please be aware that the first 90 minutes of this meeting will be recorded in audio only for our website, podcast, and YouTube channel. If you missed the study portion, you can listen to it online. Study pages will also be listed in chat. Be sure to check out the information posted in the chat throughout the meeting for other meeting times. Any announcements for the greater good of AA or for this group?
I'm Trish, and I'm an alcoholic, and we will have a group conscience for this group, which covers 4 different meetings. Next Monday, the 10th, in this room at this time, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, and adjust yourself on back. So everyone who's interested is welcome to attend, but only home group members are eligible to vote.
Thank you, Trish. So tonight we are starting a new chapter. We will screen share and read the blue page, which will tell us some history on the chapter. Then the study will begin on page 89, starting at the chapter Working with Others, and on page 91 for That Might Spoil Matters.
Please take a moment to settle in and get comfortable. We take our Big Book study seriously, and we want everyone to feel present and connected as we begin. In a moment, we'll have a 3-minute meditation followed by our family's fog light prayer. As we move into the study, please help us maintain a peaceful environment. Please be mindful of background noise when you are unmuted. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it on Zoom. And also, please stay muted during other people's shares, and we will call on hands in the order that they are raised.
From the foreword to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered. It is the main purpose of this book and of this group. For the meditation, focus on your breath and posture. Breathe in God and breathe out self. Take this time to reconnect with God and release the day.
And let's bring in those cute little monks. us in the fog light prayer as it comes up on your screen. God.
Prayer. God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those that are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen.
And let's have our secretary's report. Come on in, Joanne.
Hello, family. My name is Joanne, and I'm your secretary for the night. And I'm your secretary, your recovering alcoholic secretary. I have asked Billy to read the recovering statement to explain why many in this group identify as recovered. Come on, Billy.
Somebody going to put it up?
Yep.
Yes, sorry.
I don't have it memorized. Recovered. We are not cured of alcoholism. Recovered, but not cured. That presents conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime, but we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. Page 23. We are now sane where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have recovered.
Thank you.
You're
We
welcome.
meet every Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. CT time for fellowship before the meeting. Our big book study begins properly at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. During the study, Chuck will be disabled. From the forward to the second edition, page XX through 20, of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried. 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sober up after some relapse. And the remainder, those who stayed us with AA show improvement. Could we have a show of hand of people joining us for the first time? A show of hand for the people joining us for the first time. I don't see no hands.
I think we've got Max and Clint and Ann are all new, so welcome everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. Okay. We done that for the first time. And the recovering alcoholic. These are your potential sponsors. Is anyone celebrating a milestone this week? Anyone celebrating a milestone this week?
Oh, I see one hand.
Okay.
Good evening,
Yeah.
everyone. My name is Donald, a very grateful, recovered, but not cured alcoholic. And I celebrated 4,300 today.
Hey,
Yippee.
congratulations.
Nice,
4,300 days
congratulations.
of continuous sobriety.
Thank you.
Right. Then we got Nikki. She have her hand up.
Yeah, I do. Hold on one sec. I'm sorry. Okay, I have 11 months, 3 days, so it comes to 337 days.
All right.
Good for you,
Welcome.
Nikki. You
Thank
get that
you.
chip next month.
Yep.
Okay, I don't see no one else. Okay, if you need a big book, we can send you a large print copy. Please let one of the co-hosts know by chat after the meeting. Please practice the 7 tradition using the link in the chat and on the screen. There it is. Okay. We encourage you to get a big book and work with an untreated alcoholic to take them through the program of recovery. Thank you, and I'll see you next week for my study.
Thank you, Joanne, and thank you, Nikki. No, Joanne and Billy. And congratulations to Donald and to Nikki. So from There Is a Solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and on which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. This is an open meeting and everyone is welcome. You're not required to identify yourself if you don't want to. Your anonymity will always be protected. We ask that you protect ours also. This group is for those who want to recover from alcoholism and have the desire to stop drinking for good and all. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such a responsibility.
Before we begin our study of the Big Book, last week we reviewed Tradition 4. Tonight, let's take a quick look at Tradition 5. Please refer to page 562 of Alcoholics Anonymous. And tonight our traditionalist is Lisa. Take it away.
Thanks, Aaron. Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa. I'm an alcoholic. And we are on 562, Tradition 5. Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. And the long form. Each Alcoholics Anonymous group ought to be a spiritual entity having but one primary purpose, that of carrying its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. And I have a little history which I screen shared, so give me a moment. Early challenges and diversions, overextended groups. In AA's earliest years, some local groups tried to run employment agencies, fix broken families, or hand out medical and religious advice, which diluted the focus. Trying to be all things to all people caused confusion and pulled groups away from their life-saving work. The shoemaker rule. Bill W. used the old saying, "Shoemaker, stick to thy last," to stress that doing one thing well is better than doing many things poorly. I like that. And some other research I did. It was a classic illustration of the 12th suggestion made in the book Alcoholics Anonymous at the beginning of Chapter 7. Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. So the fifth tradition, like the 12th step, encourages me to become less self-concerned and more concerned about others. Traditions have this effect on me, and that's why they are ranked highly significant in the process of our recovery. Through the years, the many times I was trying to get sober, there were many groups that I went to that kind of geared away from that. Some of them were dumping grounds and just people dumping their problems. Other ones were cliquey. So I am just so very grateful for this meeting and other meetings that stick to the primary purpose, because that's what I need to hear. And I didn't hear a lot before. And, that's the name of our group, Primary Purpose, and I'm forever grateful, because it was staying in this book and learning about my disease finding myself in this book, and everything it's teaching me, and taught me how to build that relationship with God, and the steps to take to look at myself instead of the people, places, and things that I always looked at, that I always blamed for my misery. So I think that's it for me. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Lisa. And now it's time for That Ain't in the Book. We sometimes hear things in meetings that can't be reconciled with what is in the big book. The topic for tonight is we need to give up planning. It doesn't work. And I've asked Stephanie to read from page 86, paragraphs 3 and 4. And let's hear what the big book has to say about it.
Thank you. I'm Stephanie, recovered alcoholic. Very grateful. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives.
Thank you very much, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Please use your pens, highlighters, and rulers to study as we use the study guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group to stay focused and consistent. We read the material once, then dissect it through the question and answer format. After tonight's study is read, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium. The answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified, and multi-part questions are simply a one-sentence answer split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation. This helps us understand and apply the content clearly.
After the study, we open the meeting for comments and questions based on the pages just read. Our purpose here is to Our purpose here is to stay in the book and let the message do the work. If a share drifts into something better handled with a sponsor, we'll kindly point you that way.
You can never go wrong by commenting on the pages studied, which brings us to the words of one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Sobriety, freedom from alcohol, through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps, is the sole purpose of any Alcoholics Anonymous group.
Before we begin the study this evening, we'll need 5 to 6 answer readers.
And tonight we are starting a new chapter, so we won't have a recap from what we read last week, but we do have a blue page, and the blue page always gives us a little bit of history of what is in that chapter. And then after I read the blue page and we screen share it because you don't have it in your book, after I read the screen share and the blue page, then we will bring in our study reader. So, Chapter 7, Working with Others, pages 89 through 103, the blue page. Now comes our primary purpose. We have ended our debate as to whether or not there is a God as we understand him through steps 1, 2, and 3. We put an end to the debates and confusion that go on in our heads through steps 4, 5, 6, and 7. We have put an end to the disputes and disharmony with those about us through steps 8, 9, and 10. We have learned how to clear our minds of resentments, fears, selfish, dishonesty, etc. through step 10. And we learn how to talk to God, prayer, and try to listen to God, meditation, through step 11. We are now ready to go to work. Having done our work as directed, we have been blessed with a spiritual awakening or spiritual experience. We have had a personality change sufficient to recover from alcoholism. Now we go to work with our program. If we truly appreciate what God has done for us, we will show Him our gratitude by the way we begin to repay our debt to Him and all those who have made it possible for us to have a life filled with peace of mind and a real purpose. Chapters 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 give us the information we need to begin to learn how to do that. Our first responsibility is to the alcoholic who is still suffering from alcoholism, the newcomer. Chapter 7 gives us clear-cut directions on where to find the sick ones and how to qualify them, how to help the serious drinkers understand what alcoholism is and determine if they, in fact, might be an alcoholic. We are then given directions on how to sponsor them into sobriety. Those of us who are willing to apply the experience and knowledge revealed in this chapter will be blessed with many friends and realize the true joy of living. It is an experience we must not miss. If we do, we will be very likely to return to drinking and may never have another chance at sobriety. Note a rather significant changing in the word of this chapter. Through the first 6 chapters, the word we is used excessively. He now begins using the word you. He points his finger at each one of us to make it clear to whose responsibility it is to try to carry this message to other alcoholics. It is the responsibility of each of us to protect our sobriety by searching out the still suffering alcoholic and go to them with an attitude of love and service. It is easier to stay sober than it is to sober up. Working with others is our insurance against returning to drink.
And I've asked Donald to be our study reader this evening.
And
We are
before Donald comes in, we could use 2 or 3 more hands for question readers.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I've asked Donald to read to the start of the chapter, Working with Others, on page 89 to page 91 for That Might Spoil Matters.
Alright, good evening, folks. I'm still an alcoholic, and my problem is Donald at times. Chapter 7, Working with Others. Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. It works when other activities fail. This is our 12th suggestion. Carry this message to the alcoholics. You can help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence when others fail. Remember, they are very ill. Life will take on a new meaning. To watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. Perhaps you are not acquainted with any drinkers who want to recover. You can easily find some by asking a few doctors, ministers, priests, or hospitals. They will be only too glad to assist you. Don't start out as an evangelist or reformer. Unfortunately, a lot of prejudice exists. You will be handicapped if you arouse it. Ministers and doctors are competent, and you can learn much from them if you wish. But it happens that because of your own drinking experience, you can be uniquely useful to other alcoholics. So cooperate, never criticize. Be helpful is our only aim. When you discover a prospect for Alcoholics Anonymous, find out all you can about him. If he does not want to stop drinking, don't waste time trying to persuade him. You may spoil a later opportunity. This advice is given for his family also. They should be patient, realizing they are dealing with a sick person. If there is any indication that he wants to stop, have a good talk with the person most interested in him, usually his wife. Get any idea of his behavior, his problems, his background, the seriousness of his condition, and his religious learnings. You need this information to put yourself in his place, to see how you would like him to approach you if the tables were turned. Sometimes it is wise to wait till he goes out on a binge. The family may object to this, but unless he is in a dangerous physical condition, it is better to risk it. Don't deal with him whenever he is very drunk, unless he is ugly and the family needs your help. Wait for the end of the spree, or at least for a lucid interval. Then let his family or friend ask him if he wants to quit for good and if he would go to any extreme to do so. If he says yes, then his attention should be drawn to you as a person who has recovered. You should be described to him as one of a fellowship who, as part of their own recovery, try to help others and who will be glad to talk to him if he cares to see you. If he does not want to see you, never force yourself upon him. Neither should the family hysterically plead with him to do anything, nor should they tell him much about you. They should wait for the end of his next drinking bout. You might place this book where you can see it in the interval. Here no specific rule can be given. The family must decide these things, but urge them not to be over anxious, for that might spoil matters. Thank you for letting me be of service.
Thank you, Donald, for reading. And for our answer readers, speak clearly, follow the text sentence by sentence. If you lose your place, you may pass or allow the question reader, myself, to guide you. All right, so we're going to start on page 89. Our answer readers tonight are in order are Kenny, Nikki, Tanya, Stephanie, and Sheila. So Kenny, you get the first question. What does practical experience show us?
Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics.
And my first of several comments, why did we come to Alcoholics Anonymous in the first place?
And Nikki, if all else fails, do what?
Works when other activities fail. This is our 12th suggestion.
Just one sentence. And another comment or two, what are some of the activities that fail? If we are just going to meetings and not being of service, not opening the book, not talking to a sponsor, and not praying, are these some of the things that are failing? And shouldn't all of these things be included and working together to achieve permanent and lasting sobriety?
Thank you. And Tanya, two-part question. A, carry what? And B, to whom?
This is our 12th suggestion. Carry this message to other alcoholics.
Thank you. And Stephanie, who else is able to help the suffering alcoholic?
You can help when no one else can.
Only an alcoholic knows how another alcoholic feels. Normal drinkers cannot do it.
Thank you. And Sheila, why are you able to do this? One sentence.
You can secure their confidence when others feel.
Thank you. And back to Kenny. Why is it so important from their viewpoint?
Remember, they are very ill.
Thank you. And Stephanie, what will happen to your life?
Life will take on a new meaning.
Thank you. And Nikki, what happens as the result of us doing what we must do to assure our sobriety?
To watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is the experience you must not miss.
Thank you. And back to Kenny. Are you willing to take a risk on missing what this is really about?
Okay, baby.
We know you will not want it.
Thank you. And Stephanie, what is the bright spot of our lives?
Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives.
Thank you.
As a sponsor, is it part of my responsibility and duty to continue to reach out to whomever I happen to be working with? Do we also have a responsibility to reach out not only to newcomers, but also to others in the fellowship who may have many years of sobriety if we can be helpful?
Thank you. And I kind of lost my place, so forgive me. Nikki, is it hard to believe, but it may be that some of us do not what?
Perhaps you are not acquainted with any drinkers who want to recover.
Thank you. And Tanya, where do the first 100 suggest you start?
You can easily find some by asking a few doctors, ministers, priests, or hospitals.
Can you think of other possibilities?
Thank you. And Sheila, why would you think they might be glad to help you with your search?
And they will be only too glad to assist you.
Thank you. And back to Kenny. We better not do what?
Don't start out as an evangelist or reformer.
Thank you. And Stephanie, 2 sentences. What 2 reasons are given?
Unfortunately, a lot of prejudice exists. You will be handicapped if you arouse it.
Thank you. And Tanya, a 2-part question. A, who can we learn something from? And B, what can you do that they can't?
Ministers and doctors are competent, and you can learn much from them if you wish. But it happens that because of your own drinking experience, you can be uniquely useful to other alcoholics.
Thank you. And Nikki, so we do what?
We cooperate and never criticize.
Thank you. Sheila, what is our real purpose?
To be helpful is our only aim.
Remember our real purpose stated on page 77? Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. And now we're going to learn how to qualify a serious drinker for a 12-step call.
And back to Kenny on page 90. when you learn of a prospect, do what first?
When you discover a prospect for Alcoholics Anonymous, find out all you can about him.
Thank you. And Stephanie, when do we not bother to talk to him?
If he does not want to stop drinking, don't waste time trying to persuade him.
Thank you. Tanya, why is that?
You may spoil a later opportunity.
And Nikki, who else should know this?
This advice is given for him, for his family also.
And Sheila, what position should the family take?
They should be patient, realizing they are dealing with a sick person.
Thank you. And back to Kenny. If they indicate they have a desire to stop drinking, what is a good first thing to do?
If there's any indication that they want to stop, have a good talk with the person most interested in him, usually his wife.
Thank you. And Stephanie, why would we want to do this?
Get an idea of his behavior, his problems, his background, the seriousness of his condition.
Keep going.
Oh, excuse me. And his religious leanings.
Thank you very much. And Tanya, how can this help?
You need this information to put yourself in his place, to see how you would like him to approach you if the tables were turned.
And Nikki, sometimes it is a good idea to do what?
Sometimes it is wise to wait till he goes on a binge.
Thank you. And Sheila, who is going to resist this idea?
The family may object to this, but unless he is in a dangerous physical condition, it is better to risk it.
Thank you. And Kenny, a two-part question. A, don't do what? And B, unless what?
Don't deal with him when he is very drunk, unless he is ugly and the family needs your help.
Thank you. And Stephanie, when is a good time to ask a prospect a very important question?
Wait for the end of the spree, or at least for a lucid interval.
Thank you. And Tanya, what question should the serious drinker be asked?
Then let his family or a friend ask him if he wants to quit for good, and if he would go to any extreme to do so.
Thank you. And Nikki, if the prospect says yes to the question, what should the family do then?
If he says yes, then the attention should be drawn to you as a person who has recovered.
Thank you. And Sheila, a two-part question. A, how should you be described to the prospect? And B, what condition should be met by the prospect?
You should be described to him as one of a fellowship who, as a part of their own recovery, try to help others, and who will be glad to talk to him if he cares to see you.
Thank you. And back to Kenny. Should we go talk to the prospect whether or not they want to see us?
If he does not want to see you, never force yourself upon him.
Thank you. And Stephanie, how should the family react if the drinker says no?
Neither should the family hysterically plead with him to do anything, nor should they tell him much about you.
And Tanya, what should they wait for?
They should wait for the end of his next drinking bout.
Thank you. And Nikki, 2 sentences. What could we do in the meantime if it seems appropriate?
You might place this book where he can see it in the interval. Here, no specific rule can be given.
Thank you. And Sheila, what must the family decide?
You're muted, Sheila.
Oh. Oh. I'm showing unmuting. The family must decide these.
Thank you. And Kenny, back to you. The last question on page 91. It is a two-part question. A, encourage the family to what? And B, why is this?
But urge them not to be over anxious, for that might spoil matters.
Notice at this point we are still talking to the family. We have not yet made contact with the alcoholic. This chapter, Working with Others, also allows us to have the ability to work with families as well as the alcoholic. It was the experience of the first 100 that sometimes we work with the family as well. Remember, when this book was published, our Al-Anon family groups had not yet been established. Even so, they may prefer to work with us, a recovered alcoholic that they know, rather than the unknown entity of Al-Anon.
Thank you for everyone who read. Thank you to everyone who read. Now the meeting is open for sharing. If you have experience with the pages read tonight, you are free to share. Please stay on topic and be mindful of time. You will see a 5-minute timer at the top of the screen. A friendly reminder, absence of profanity offends no one. We are now open for comments, questions, observations, and spiritual experience based on the study material. Oh, Tanya, come on in.
Thank you so much. Tanya, alcoholic, grateful to be here, sober and alive today. I really love the first paragraph on page 90 when it says, when you discover a prospect for Alcoholics Anonymous, find out all you can about him. If he doesn't want to stop drinking, don't waste time trying to persuade him. You may spoil a later opportunity. And then I like the way at the end says, realizing they're dealing with a sick person. When I started, I've been in recovery for 4 years. This is my first time in AA. And my first sponsor asked me to start service as soon as possible. So I completed my steps after 9 months in AA, and she asked me to sponsor. The meeting I was attending, we had a lot of newcomers coming in. So at one point, with a little bit of my sobriety, I had 5 sponsees, which I thought that was overwhelming at that time. But it's very important for me to read these pages, because I hear, I always, as a newcomer, I hear people say, it's in the book, read the book, it's in the book, just read the book. And with those many sponsees, they just started relapsing, and I thought I was really doing something wrong. I looked at myself, I started questioning myself, what is that I'm lacking? I'm lacking too much. I didn't have sobriety. But then here it says, and I would go, if there's a lady and she doesn't want to do the program and she wants to leave, I would still text and call her. I would just say, as it says in the big book somewhere, it says, it's almost saying, you're such a pretty girl. Why do you not want to stay sober? It's going to save your life. I went through so much, and I drank for 4 years, and I went through a liver transplant. It was huge for me. It was shocking. And, but they still didn't want to stay in AA. So I heard this gentleman say to me one time, and he has been in program for over 50 years, and he said, but you're staying sober. Not everybody, it's not for people that need it, it's for people that want it. And you are staying sober, so
So be grateful for that. But, providing service, it's a big part of my recovery. I understand how important that is. So lessons learned. I continue to learn and grow, and I make sure that I stay green, because more I spend time in AA, I feel like I know less. But I'm working with my new sponsor, who I really appreciate and respect so much. So it's one day at a time. Thank you guys so much. Trish, you look adorable.
Thank you, Tanya. Trish, you do look adorable. And Sheila, come on in.
Sheila, alcoholic. I love Tanya always ending on such a positive perk. Okay, so I'm going to kind of point that this is what's coming to me today, because every time I read this book, new things pop up even after 10 years, and it suddenly hit me how, the directions in this book come from my generation. I was born in the 50s. I was born in an era many of you wouldn't know about, where there were shows called The Doris Day Show and Father Knows Best and Leave It to Beaver, and where dad comes home every day and mom is always there baking cookies after school, and milk and cookies on the table, and families, stayed together, and if they didn't talk about it, So the directions in this book, in this chapter, are a little bit outdated, in the sense that it's hard for us to meet a new prospect and see the desperation and reach out to someone in their family, because a lot of times, very often, and most of the time in my experience, it's not possible. We kind of meet our prospects, and we know to kind of adapt, tweak these directions to current day, to that situation, and understand, because if we're sponsoring, we've obviously come to that place of spiritual connection and conscious contact, and we're ready. Our sponsors tell us we're ready, that we tweak it to where we approach that person in humility and in a place of, my sponsor always tells me, he uses the word neutrality. And that place of neutrality means I'm totally open-minded, and I'm trying to connect with this person. I want to have compassion. I want to feel what they're feeling. Of course, if they're a brand new, shaky, sweaty mess like I was, their accountability, their perception may not be all 100%, and when they tell me about themselves, they may not even know what they're saying half the time. But I'm going to have to, say that God has worked through me to really pick up on things, because we have that ability to have that intuitive thought now, to pick up on things, and in people, and see that person from an omniscient kind of perspective, where we know to see that, to look as God would look at us. It's so important to know that principle. And so I think it's important, because we learn, when we first come in, to follow the directions exactly in the book, but we do have to adapt, and we do have to kind of sometimes tweak things, and that's with the of God and another human being, and preferably a sponsor or someone with a lot of experience and time. Because when we're working with a new person and there's no background, things happen, a little bit more slowly. But for me, it was a good thing, because it truly brought out my accountability, and it was slow for me to see what reality was, so my sponsor could get to know me. But so that's what I just wanted to point out, that you know, and everything else exactly as the book says. I was asked, do I want to quit for good? Would I go to any everything else 100%? It's just that one little spot there that I wanted to point out how I had to adapt and how it was adapted for me. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you very much, Sheila. And the room is open for anybody who does want to come in.
I'll jump in since we don't have any hands. I'm Trish and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Trish.
And, you know, I love that first line. Practical experience shows that nothing will so much as ensure immunity from drinking as intensive work with other alcoholics. And, you know, intensive work with other alcoholics has often saved my hide when I'm just in a mood. Not necessarily so much nowadays as I really want to pick up a drink, so I need to go find an alcoholic to work with. But you know, sometimes I'm just not quite right. And then I pick up the phone. And by talking with somebody, by working with somebody, by getting out of myself, that will oftentimes help get me back onto an even keel. But yeah, this is our 12th tradition, our 12th step, to carry this message to other alcoholics. And, you know, we don't always find the alcoholics in the places where we used to find them. Most of the newcomers I have worked with have either been introduced to me by other people, or I've met them in a meeting. And then we start talking afterwards. But I have had situations where family members who know I'm in the program call me or ask me if we're at work, at church, if we just happen to meet on the street, if they know I'm in the program, how do I get this person to stop drinking? And we'll talk about it. So I have had interactions with family members before sometimes meeting the alcoholic. And then in those cases, I'll do exactly what it says here. You know, I'll talk to them. I'll give them my experience. I'll let them know I'm willing to talk to the alcoholic who's in their life or in their family, but that person's got to be willing to talk, because there's not much point in going over if they're not interested. And then, like it says, if you're not acquainted with any drinkers who want to recover, you can easily find them by asking doctors, ministers, priests, or hospitals. I have, the last few years, for some reason, God has put into my life a lot of people who are in seminary who are studying to become priests and ministers. So part of what I've done with each one of them is I hand them a big book. It's like, you're not going to learn about alcoholism in these classes, but here's our book. Call me. I know you're busy doing other things, studying other things, but use me for a resource if people call you and you're not sure what to do. And then I direct them to some pages to read. And then that line where it says, when you discover a prospect for Alcoholics Anonymous, find out all you can about him, but if he does not want to stop drinking, don't waste time trying to persuade him. I have worked with people who really weren't interested. I've worked with people who asked me to be their sponsor and came to find out they only wanted to be able to go to court and say, yes, I have a sponsor, and they had no intention on going to court and getting sober. I've worked with people who have called me and I'm in detox. I'll call you when I get home, and I don't get another phone call until I'm in detox. I'll call you when I get home, and you know, I'll talk to her, but I'm not going to chase these people down until they're ready. But I'm also not going to not answer the phone, because I want that hand of AA to be there when they reach out, like our responsibility statement says. I'm not going to spend a lot of time calling somebody day after day after day who I know is still drinking and isn't interested. But I might pop them a text or a phone call every now just to say, hey, how are you? Remind them I'm still there. Remind them that we're still here. And we're ready for them to come back anytime they're interested in it. sometimes if I'm talking with a newcomer, like I said, it is the family member I'm talking to, and I do try to find out a little bit of information about them. But sometimes I'm talking to them themselves because I've met them in a meeting before we start getting into the steps and having real serious conversations. I spend a little bit of time, go out for coffee, get to meet them, get to know who they are, so that I know how to relate to them. I was talking to somebody the other day about, I try to be really careful about things I say and what words I say, and cursing or not cursing, and swearing and not swearing. It's not a part of my normal vocabulary, but some people it is. And I don't get offended if it is, but some people, they just listen more if they hear it. So I'll adapt the way I say things to the way that they are talking. And then placing the book where they can see it. If there's a newcomer who comes to a meeting that I'm in, whether it's this group and they don't have a book, we'll mail it to them. If it's somebody I meet at an in-person meeting, I'll buy them one. And then in the next week or later that night, if they try to pay me back, I say, no, just pass it on and buy somebody else a book sometime. But I may not necessarily be leaving it on the coffee table at home, but I'm making it a bit available for them. And then that last comment is like, remember, we're still talking to the family, and sometimes we do talk to the family as well. I have had people that I have sponsored where I have talked to the alcoholic, but I also have phone calls with children, spouses, wives, husbands, because they know me. They know I know the process. They know what they want to understand, what the alcoholic is doing, so that they're not getting in the way, but sometimes they don't know what they should be doing either. I have taken family members through the steps, not step one with the same way that we do, but helping them understand that they're powerless over somebody else's alcohol, and then kind of working with them through the steps like I would with an alcoholic in recovery, because that helps get the whole family on board with the program and with what we're doing. And I will stop there. That is enough out of me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trish. Wonderful share. Dragon Pickle, come on in.
Hi, I'm Billy. I'm an alcoholic. I just never know, when I leave my house, who I'm going to bump into, what they need, what I need. I was at a work thing just this past winter. Minding my own business, right? Joined the round table I thought I needed to be at, that I was interested in. And we're talking about teaching and what we need to tell our state in order to convince them to stop cutting us off at the knees and various things of that nature. And across the table, this young gal, well, I don't know her age, I didn't ask, but she pointed out my necklace. She says, I really like your necklace. And I said, oh, any particular thing about it? She said, yeah, the circle and the triangle. I said, ah. I said, are you familiar with what it means? And she said, very much so, for the past 3 years. And I said, man, it feels really good that we're at the same table, speaking the secret language. Because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I had never attended that kind of a function. I felt like the new kid on the block. Because I don't tend to, I've been getting more involved the last year or two, which is why I'll pull a Tuesday night disappearing act if they stick with the same day of the week this fall. But I've just had so many things like that, I've been wearing this silly little trinket on my neck for longer than I can remember. And I was doing some distance work for a company. And, man, we were just up against the walls trying to get the work done. And some guy walked up to me. Now, I wasn't in my home state. I'm like 100 miles away from where I live. I don't know anybody. And I don't have time to find a meeting schedule. Because by the time we get done working, we got a 3-hour drive to the next place we're going to be working. And this guy comes around the corner. He sees the emblem on my chain and walks right up to me and introduces himself. And at first I was a little baffled, but he just smiled from ear to ear, and I went, "Oh, hi, my name is," and you just made my day because you connected and got me out of myself just long enough for me to refocus. So, you know, I've done a lot of calls, you know, to help others, and I've learned don't ever go alone, ever. Take another person with you. That way, if you run out of stuff because you can't relate, maybe the other person can, and because it's not about us, it's about them and helping somebody else. And yep, I've had the invisible sponsees. God bless them. You know, I don't ever want to walk that walk again if my higher power wills it. I'll hang on to my chair for dear life. It took me a long time to get my chair because I was in the revolving door for a number of years. And until it hurt enough, you know. And I love that thing on Jamie's wall about, you know, having the willingness when it hurts too much. So, and I remember my last drunk, man. I keep it tattooed to my forehead because it got my attention. I was 28 days sober. I smelled the rum, but I thought I was invincible. I thought I could have one. By the way, 28 days was the longest I had ever put together in 3 years. But I found out I wasn't invincible. And that's what I tell people who are like, I can't get sober, I can't not drink, I can't. I love the not prayer. It's in my wallet now. I take it with me. You know, because if nothing else pushes the button for somebody else, the not prayer can. Thanks.
I am so sorry. I'm muted. Thank you so much, Billy, for sharing. And if there's anyone, you can still raise your hand. I can pick on you, or even I can share. So I will go ahead and share. My name is Aaron. I'm a very grateful recovered alcoholic. And, you know, I can relate to a lot of what you said, everyone who shared. And, you know, I struggled with that too, you know, because it's the new age of technology. I'm on Zoom a lot, or well, I was on Zoom a lot until I got a new job position, and you know, it totally put my world upside down because now my nights are days and my days are my nighttime. So at one point I was like going to meetings on my drive to work, but it's, you know, at this point it was always dark, so I would just, nobody would be able to see me. I'd be driving, and I'm not gonna, you know, I don't want to be too distracted while I'm doing that. So I would just listen. And I asked my sponsor, I said, you know, the only thing that's really missing is, you know, I don't have anyone to sponsor at the time. And he was like, well, how can you have a sponsee if you're just listening to meetings? And my point is, I may not be able to find a prospect through a family, but you know, if I'm sharing in meetings and telling my story and giving away so freely what was given to me, you know, someone may hear my story and reach out to me and ask me to sponsor them. Or if I'm in a meeting and a newcomer is like, I need a sponsor, I can, offer my services. I work in the ED, and I get a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts that come in. So, like they're in their very low point. I haven't had a prospect yet, but when they tell their story or what's going on, I can say, me too, tell them what I've gone through and maybe calm them down a little bit. I've given some people my number. I haven't really heard anything from any of them, but I can plant the seed at least, and tell them, what I've gone, like I said, like what I've gone through, how I got there, and who I am today. And if they choose to call me, they choose to call me, and if they don't, they don't. But that keeps me sober, and as well. Um, you know, I may not be able. Also, I may not be able to go out and find that prospect, but that's how sorry, I ran. But that's how I found this meeting. I was in rehab. I was very willing to do whatever it took, and I found my sponsor here. I found you guys, and that was through the internet. The internet's a wonderful place if you use it for the greater good. It could be a terrible place as well, but it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, as long as you're willing and you give it to God, anything's possible. So thank you for letting me share. And the floor is open. The squares are open. Kenny, you want to share?
Hello, my name is Kenny. I'm alcoholic. Basically, I just do a lot of listening because my experience in working with others, it hasn't been great. I have one guy I worked with, and he was found in his bathroom, overdosed. He died. Another guy I've been working with him for the last 5 years, and he wants he want me to sponsor him the way he wants to be sponsored. And I told him I could just be his friend because he wasn't open. And he had came back from rehab this last time. Detox this last time, and he seemed to be real motivated. And for the first month, he was motivated. For the second month, he was motivated, and then he just did like he normally do, disappear from contact. And I don't run after him or anything, but I have a habit of texting people in the morning, wishing them a great day and trying to encourage them to get started, and that's what I do with him. I don't know if I'm working the program to the best of my ability, but I do the best that I think I am. I have a sponsor. He got me in the service real early, and I was Bronx intergroup delegate chairperson, and that was an experience for me. But I didn't really enjoy it. I found out that working above the group level is not for me. But whatever he told me to do, I did. Whether I liked it or not. Right now, the only person I'm working with is Lisa, not our Lisa, a friend of mine, Lisa. We got high together. We went to rehab together. But she didn't stay sober. I stuck around, and she came back into the fellowship a few years later. But she only has like 100 and some odd days. But I work with her. I encourage her to make meetings. I go over things with her that she don't understand, and I'm trying to encourage her to find a sponsor, and that's kind of difficult because I think she's looking for the perfect sponsor. And I tell her just choose someone, you know, and that's where I'm at with her. I don't know what else to say. I learned a lot from this meeting. Uh, I know I can't keep it unless I give it away. But the only way I give it away is at meetings when I share. Uh, I'm pretty content, that I wake up in the morning and I'm not chasing after a drink or a drug. I'm real content and real. I look at it as God's doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. Because no matter what I did, I couldn't get over the hump. I would I would drink and drug whether I wanted to or not. But now I wake up in the morning. I thank God for waking me up. I start my day. I text people and wish them a good day, or share something online that I got that was spiritual, and I share that with them. And that's how I start my day. And I don't know what else to say, so I'm going to be quiet.
Thank you, Kenny. Wonderful share. Lisa, come on in.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa. I'm an alcoholic, and I really love the blue page that we read. It just explains it so nicely and clearly. Because when I first came in, boy, I was so blocked. I couldn't make connections. I couldn't. Nothing was getting in. But that really helped me a lot, and I enjoy it when we read from the blue page. I don't have a lot of experience either with working with others, but like Kenny touched on, everybody that does something in the group, the answer readers, everybody, anybody who's sharing, we're all working with others. And, that's what keeps us sober. That keeps me out of self.
Thank you, Lisa.
And, when I get away from that, I'm up here. I'm in my head. And that's a scary place to be. My best thinking got me into the bottle. So I need to be around other alcoholics, talking with other alcoholics. Also, the part, with the family, I have another recovering alcoholic, and for many years, our diseases just wrecked each other. And the past couple months, what a shift. When we're not pointing fingers, when we're trying to help each other. The sick man's prayer. This is a sick person. How can I be helpful? That has been huge the past few years for me. And I never would have known any of this without the big book and this group and working with others. And like I said, that's sharing, that's the answer readers, the study readers, just getting involved. anything. And that was so hard for me. I was petrified, you know. But that fades. Just, if you're struggling, just try. Try, reach out, you know? And it's just so important. And I never got that. It was always, I can do this on my own. No, I couldn't. And from what I hear, not many can. Well, and that's where I find my peace too. Because the more peaceful I am, better chances I'm going to stay away from a drink today. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Let's see. Joanne, would you like to come in?
Maybe stepped away for a moment.
Yeah. Donald, would you like to come in? You're muted.
Aaron is not putting up with the dental chair, folks.
No.
Okay, I'm trying to do something here and stuff, but it's not working. And so, anyway, good evening, everyone. My name is Donald, and I'm a very grateful, recovered, but not cured alcoholic. And working with others, one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with is people asking me to, sponsor them. You start sponsoring them, they start getting it, and next thing you know, they're gone. You don't see them again, you don't hear from them, and it's like, it's disheartening. Especially whenever, you spend a lot of effort, trying to teach them. You spend a lot of your time to teach them. And you think that they're getting it, and then all of a sudden, and I don't know how many, men that I've done that with, coming out of New Directions, out of the Recovery House, out of the Gospel Mission. Those are three of the places, three of the rehabs that are near us. And, I started looking at myself, am I an effective sponsor? Am I not doing what's required of me? Am I, do I smell? Do I not present it properly and stuff? But then, it's like, I gotta realize, we are dealing with sick people. And it's not always everybody's gonna get this program or want to get it. But the saddest part is whenever you find out that they've been found dead. And you have to realize, that this is their lot in life. That was their choosing. That was on them. It wasn't on me. It wasn't anything that I did wrong. It wasn't anything that I forgot to tell them. It wasn't anything that I did. But I do have the memories, and the time that I did spend with them. You know what? I didn't drink. I didn't drink while I was helping them or trying to help them. I didn't drink after I found out, certain things and stuff. I know 5 people in the last 3 years that took their lives because they went back out. And yes, I do know that being on the outside of prison is a lot different than being on the inside. Being on the inside and stuff, I took 27 men. a captive audience. But the thing is, they were putting the work in and trying to better themselves. And a few of them were lifers without the possibility of being released. They were just tired of the prison that was up here instead of the bars that they were behind. And they really wanted to change. And being on the outside, though, it's totally different. It's even sad and stuff because of everything that's available now. And, but I keep doing it. I keep plugging through and try to bring everything that I've learned from working with those men into the next person that I do help. So, God bless you guys. Can't believe I almost took up the whole 5 minutes. So, and that's a cute picture of you, Trish.
That was good. That was good. Thank you very much, Donald. Wonderful share. Sorry, guys, my son came in. Jimmy, I saw that you were going to come in. Would you like to share? I'm talking
Hi,
to Ben.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jimmy, and I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. And, I go back to when I got here, and I remember when my sponsor made a 12-step call on me in the middle of the pandemic. And, he didn't get to learn a lot about me, but, at that time there, I finally asked for help. My breaking point came in July of 2020, and I finally asked for help, and I did receive some help. Now, if I would have came in here, 6 months ago, I wouldn't have asked for help. Prior to that, like if it was January, I wasn't ready to get here. And I would have probably been the guy that said that he was receptive, leave him alone, because maybe you're going to spoil another opportunity. So I was that guy. But with working with others and making phone calls and talking to newcomers, and that's what we're here for now, to be here for, when I got here, I needed a lot of help. And I mean, unfortunately, I relapsed 4 times. And, I couldn't get a 2-month coin. And but I finally did. And, I had a group of guys rooting for me to get that 2-month coin. And I remember when I did get the 2-month coin, I told my sponsor, I don't want to go get that coin. I said, and he said, well, there might be a guy sitting in this room tonight that has a week, and he's going to want to know how you got that 2-month coin. And you can tell him how you got it. And he said, you're not going up there for you. We're going up there for them. You're showing what this program has done for you and what your higher power has done for you. He goes, so, it's all about service, humbling myself, having willingness. I had a lot of ego problems, but AA never gave up on me. And, it was the best thing I ever did was making that phone call that day and calling that guy who became my sponsor at a Baker Square on July 21st of 2020. That was the smartest thing I ever did. So with that, I'll share my time. Love you guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. And it looks like we have time for one more. Jamie, would you like to come in?
How did I know that? Good
Hello.
evening. Hey, good evening, family. My name is Jamie, very grateful recovered alcoholic, and good to be with all of you. My apologies for not being here earlier, but I had a committee meeting I had to go to. And I love what this tells us in the first paragraph on page 89, that this is our 12th suggestion to carry the message to other alcoholics. You can help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence where others fail. Remember, they are very ill. Life will take on a new meaning to watch people recover and to see them help others, to watch the loneliness vanish, and to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and each other is a bright spot of our lives. You know, this chapter gives me the guidelines of how to sponsor, even though this chapter does not directly use the word sponsor or sponsorship in it. And it doesn't tell me, there is absolutely nowhere in this chapter where it tells me I get to tell you, you gotta. And I hear a lot of sponsors say, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And I'm like, really? Show me where the hell it says that in the book. Because it doesn't. It says that I tell them what happened with me. And if they don't want what I have, to let them go. But one of the things that I have learned in my time in Alcoholics Anonymous and working with others is I'm not the source of their power. That one is God, and I hope that they find God on their journey. I'm a source to listen. Sometimes my patience level, this is where some of you nod your heads, is not always the greatest. Sometimes I get irritated with people. And that doesn't matter if it's a newcomer or if it is someone who's been around for 25 years that I start working with, which are sometimes even harder than the newcomer because they know everything or think they do. You know, this chapter is about remaining teachable. Not only the person that we are working with having the willingness to be teachable, but for me to be teachable as well. For me to learn how to be patient and tolerance and love and kindness. And sometimes I'm not always loving and kind. I mean, I'm always loving, and I say the things that I do out of love. But the truth is, we alcoholics like to fight things. We're still looking for the softer, easier way. Oh no, that can't be right. I'm going to talk to my therapist. Or no, that can't be right. I'm going to stub my toe and go to the emergency room and get myself some Loratabs or whatever it is. Or no, I'm going to read this book instead. Here's the problem, folks. The directions for recovery, for permanent lasting sobriety are in this book. And I've been doing big book sponsorship the last several years of sitting down with another alcoholic and taking them through the book line by line, page by page, and discussing with them some of the parts that aren't in the print, some of the history and some of the working parts around all of it. But there also comes a time in my working relationship with people that sometimes I'm not the best fit for them, and somebody else might be a better fit for them. And that's something that I have to recognize too. I have never fired a sponsee. I've had a few fire me. But what I have to recognize is maybe the work that I do with somebody in the beginning is a starting point for them until someone else, through their own experience, can be more helpful to that individual. And that's the way it's worked, and it's been very successful. Some of you in this room I have worked with for years. Some of you in this room I have worked with short term. And I'm always willing to work with someone. What I'm not willing to do is fight with someone. If you don't want what I have, that's fine. That is absolutely fine with me. There is somebody in Alcoholics Anonymous who does have what you want. And when you find that person, go ask them how to get it. There's a couple of places in the book where it talks about when we discover we have problems other than alcoholism, by all means, seek the outside professional help. Because we get here with a lot of issues. And those issues aren't the cause of my alcoholism, but sometimes those other issues have to be treated and have to become balanced in order for someone to be able to start absorbing what's in our book. That's something that I have to learn how to recognize as well. Here's what I know. Is I'm just simply one of God's kids trying to help some of God's other kids. But if they aren't willing to do the work, then maybe someone else can help them be willing. And I need to move on to someone who is willing to do the work. There's a place in our book, a couple of places, chapter 5. We stood at the turning point. What's the turning point? The turning point is the decision of step 3. And we ask, is care and protection with complete abandon? There's generally a conversation that I have with somebody, because in chapter 5 it talks about there are those who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Focusing on the word completely. No, I have a better way to do this. No, what you say can't be right. Okay. But I follow what the book says. And I know the book is right. So there's generally a point, and there's several people in this room I've asked this question to. Are you a cannot or a will not? Because that always comes up at a certain point in working together. Well, I can't do that. I just can't do that. So I'm going to give you an example of a cannot. A cannot may be a psychopath that does not have the ability to feel and understand. A cannot might be someone who has special needs, like a special needs child, that does not have the comprehension and understanding of what we have in our book. But I believe that most of us in Alcoholics Anonymous have the comprehension and understanding if we're willing. So most of us aren't can-nots, most of us are will-nots. Nope, I ain't gonna do that. Nope, you're wrong. Nope, you really want me to trust God with all of this? Well, all we have to do is look to our own self-reliance and come to the conclusion that our self-reliance has maybe been in a survival mode, but it hasn't served us well. Why? Because when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, I carried in with me 33 years of emotional baggage. But the process of the steps have given me the ability to become free of that emotional baggage, to learn how to forgive my offenders so that I can live in freedom, to how to take a look at me. Because you know what? The guy I'm looking at in the mirror is the problem. It's not the rest of the world. It's the guy who takes a razor to this part of my throat. And if I'm not willing to take an honest look at me, I will always struggle and fight with this program. We just spent the last 56 weeks or so going through the book to this point, to get to this chapter today. And in all of it, it has been constantly looking at ourselves rather than looking at others. Moving forward for the rest of my life, it continues to be about looking at me rather than looking at others. I am not the solution, but if I am willing, I can become an active player in my own recovery, and I can plant seeds in those that I work with, and that's my job. On page 45 of our book, it talks about lack of power. That was our dilemma, and we had to find a power which would solve all our problems. My job as a sponsor is to lead people to that power, the God of their own understanding, that they can come to rely on. Because I'm human, folks. I will fail you. Not intentionally, but I will. I'll fail you because you have unrealistic expectations. I'll fail you because sometimes I can get irritated and say, why the F can't you just get this? Why are you fighting it? I've said all of those things. And trust me, when I do that, I'm not proud of me. But my job in all of this is to lead someone to their God and through the steps so that they can get busy and take the next newcomer that God puts in their way in front of them to start working with them. Plenty of people I know, they've been through the steps, but they won't work with others. What's the fear? If you use this chapter as the example of how to work with others, you cannot fail, armed with the facts about yourself and your own truth. You will fulfill the primary purpose of every group, and the primary purpose that should be the job of every person who comes to Alcoholics Anonymous, to carry the message of recovery. I apologize for going over. Thank you. Love y'all.
Thank you very much. Wonderful share, Jamie. Sorry, I got a little crazy.
And I will read out our closing from page 164. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. And we will close out in our normal pickle fashion. And for those of you who are new here, what we do, since we cannot stand around the table and hold hands with each other because we're not in the same room or the same state, is we put our hands up in the screen, and that's how we connect with each other as we pray out, praying with and for each other. And we'll take a moment of silence, followed for those still suffering inside and outside of these rooms, and we'll follow that with the Lord's Prayer. So here's your moment. Thank you. And who brings us from shame to grace if we let him? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Keep coming back.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. Nikki? Oh, you were just raising your hand.
No, it always raises when I go like this.
Oh, okay.
It's a setting.
Oh, wow.